uh, verse 1, chapter 24, verse 1. We haven't yet covered this scene that of Abraham sending out his servant to get a wife for Isaac. So it says, Avraham Zakein Baba Yamim, and Avram had blessed. Avram was old, and he was getting older in his life. Vashem Berachat Avraham Bakol, and Hashem blessed Avram Bakol. Now, if you remember, we actually did this in the Talmud. What does it mean that he blessed him with everything? Remember, we did this in the Daf Yomi a few days ago. Now, what does it mean that he was blessed Bakol? So we saw a couple of different explanations. One is that he didn't have a daughter, and one is that he had a daughter and her name was Bakol. Remember those two explanations we saw? That he blessed her, he blessed Abraham, Bakol, with everything by not having a daughter. Because if he had a daughter, that by having a daughter, and because his daughter, so one approach is that he had a daughter and his daughter was the eldest here. And that made it a blessing because the sons wouldn't be jealous of each other. So that was one explanation that we saw in the Gemara. Another explanation was that he had a daughter. Here is what it says. Rabbi Meir says, Shelo hayalo bat. Rabbi Meir says that he didn't have a daughter. Rabbi Yehuda says that he had a daughter. And others say that he had a daughter and her name was Bakol. Another explanation is Rabbi Elazar in the Modai says that Avram had an astrologer, and all the angels, all the kings of the east and the west would come to greet him. All the kings would come to greet him. To ask him for a question. Rabbi Shimon Chai says Abraham had a stone that he hung around his neck, and anyone who was sick would look at it and be immediately healed. So there are a lot of different explanations of what this idea of Bakol is, that Abraham was blessed with everything.
Well, was he blessed with everything because of his faith in Hashem?
They don't give that answer. Then the Talmud gives a lot of different answers, but doesn't say that as an answer. That's just interesting because that's what I would have thought of. The Talmud
I always think that people who have faith that way really have faith and belief, not just Jews, but any religion. That's a blessing. I don't have that blessing, so I really appreciate people who do.
Yeah, of course, for sure. But the Talmud does not give that answer. The Talmud does a lot of different answers. The Talmud actually goes through one, let me just repeat it, that he didn't have a daughter. I don't know why that's a blessing, but I guess it would have been anxiety. Remember, we did in the Gemara, what was the value that he didn't have a daughter?
Rambam says it's the value is that he wants the daughter to marry.
Oh, right. Very good.
Yeah.
Eitan reminds me what we said, that Ramban says, remember we did this in the Gemara, because if he had had a daughter, there would have been nobody for the daughter to marry. Exactly right, Eitan. Rabbi Yehuda says that he had a daughter, and her name was that he had a daughter, and she was the oldest, and therefore there was no fighting. Others said that he had a daughter, and her name was Bakol. Ramban says that relates to like the Bakol is like Shabbat there. Rabbi Elazar the Modai says that he knew insight into the stars, and the kings of the world would come to see him. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai says he had a special stone, like a Havdil, one of the hallows in Harry Potter. he had one of this special stone, and anybody who was sick would come and look at this stone and be healed immediately. That's my British accent. How am I doing? And then another source there says that what does it mean that he was blessed with everything? That Esav did not go astray during his lifetime. Another answer, again, this is still all from Baba Basra, is that Esav did not rebel in his lifetime, and that Yishmael repented in his lifetime. As we stated at the end of the portion, that Yishmael repented. Because it says that Isaac and Yishmael buried him, so which means that Yishmael repented, because he got Isaac go first. Another explanation is that God allowed Abraham to taste a little bit of the world to come, and the Yetzer Hara and the angel of death did not rule over him. These are all different explanations. Meaning to say Abraham was missing nothing from this world or from the world to come. L'chaim, Kobe. Okay. What? Yeah, we're doing that. We're just we didn't even get to the Rashi because it's interesting that Rashi does not cite any of these. Rashi just says, what does it mean God blessed him with everything? Rashi cites the Tanchuma that says he blessed him with a son because Bakol has the same numerical value, same gematria as Ben. And since he had a son, he needed to find a wife for his son. Because otherwise, why is this relevant to the passage? Because it says that he's going to find a wife for his son. What does it mean God blessed Abraham with everything? Why is that relevant? So it must be that the relevance is that Hashem blessed, God had blessed Abraham. Hashem blessed Abraham with everything, which means he had a son. And now that he had a son, he wanted to get a wife for his son. Hello, Greg. Welcome back. Okay. Vayomer Abraham el Avdo, and Abram said to his servant, Zikan Beiso, the elder of his household, Hamoshel B'Kol Asherlo, the one who was. We're on chapter 24, verse 1. Greg. So God said so Abram said to his servant, the elder of his household, the one who ruled over everything that belonged to him, and Moshe B'Kol Asherlo, Simna Yadcha Tachas Yirechi, put your hand underneath my thigh. What is a kambe so? So he said it to the servant who was in charge of his house. Place under his thigh. What is that a reference to? That's a euphemism. Why did he do that? So Rashi is going to say that's because that was a mitzvah. What mitzvah did he have underneath his thigh? The bris. He had the circumcision. So therefore, he needed to say when you do an oath, Rashi says you have to hold on to a mitzvah. And so therefore, Rashi says, Lafisha Nishba, one who takes an oath, he needs to hold an object of a mitzvah, like a Torah scroll or a tefillin, and the circumcision was the first mitzvah. And so therefore, came to him through pain, and he was most proud of it. So therefore, he took it as the object by which to minister the oath. So he said to the servant, place your hand under my thigh. I mean, I would have thought it would be better to let me place my hand under your thigh. That's more of a threat than you place your hand on my thigh. But Rashi's saying that that's the way it was the mitzvah. They used to, Jerry, you're trying to say something?
Yes. Does that mean that today, if we make a religious oath we have to do the same thing?
No, so first of all, we're not supposed to take oaths anymore, but if we would take an oath, we would do it on an object, like a Torah scroll. They, for many years, they would make them take an oath, they would hold a scroll. But actually, in the Roman Empire, this is what they would do. When they took an oath, they would grab a hold of that part of the body. And that's the source of what word? Well, that's the relationship between to testify and the word for that anatomy. You follow that? Testicle. So because the reason why it's connected to that word, it comes from the Latin to bear witness. Testis, testi, testum. So testifies because they used to hold that part of the anatomy to make sure that they're telling the truth. Tell the truth, or else guess what? Not going to be pleasant. That's the.
I don't even want to know, really, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what's going on there. That's what's going on. So, well, so this is, I mean, Rashi's explanation still stands, obviously, but this was probably the ancient practice of making sure that you testified in that manner. Jerry, you raised your hand now? Are you still trying to ask a question?
No, I'm finished. Thank you.
Okay. So, okay. So now we come up to the next verse. So he says, Vashbiacha, I'm going to make you take an oath. Hashem, I'll make you take an oath by God. I'll make you take an oath by God. Okay, Hashemayim. Okay, Haaretz, God of the heaven and the earth. One moment, someone. I'll make you take an oath by the God of the heavens and the earth. They should not take son for my daughters from the Canaan. You should not take a daughter for my son from the Canaanites. Okay, well, you can't take a son from the Canaanites. And so then we'll skip a little because there's no Rashi till verse 7. So it says, I'll just read it. Go to my homeland. Take for yourself a wife for my son, for Isaac. And the slave said, maybe the woman won't want to go after me to this land. What should I return your son to the land that you went out from? Be careful. Do not bring my son there. That was the pasuk that Rashi comments on. Hashem Elokei Hashemayim, God of the heavens, Asher Lekachani Beis Avi, who took me out from my father's home in the land of my birthplace. Asher Diber Li, and spoke to me. Asher Nishbal Li Le'emor, and swore to me an oath, saying, V'zaracha Tein Taretz, as oath to your seed, I will give this land. Hu Yishlach Malcho Lefanecha, he will send an angel before you. L'kachta Isha Avni Misham, he'll take my son from there. So Rashi asks, why does he say this, the God of heavens, who took me from the house of my father, but he doesn't say the God of the earth? And above he said, I'll make you take an oath by the God of the heavens and the earth. So why did he drop that? So Avram said to Eliezer, now he's the God of the heavens and the God of the earth, because I familiarized him. But when he took me from my father's home, he was only the God of the heavens, but not the God of the earth, because nobody knew about him. Only after I preached, I went around preaching, that's when his name came forth. So then it says, then the pasuk continues, If the woman does not want to come after you, v'nikita mishvuatizot, you will be innocent from this oath. Rocket b'nihu te'ashev shama. Hello, Shepsel, how you doing?
Good.
Only my son you shall not take there. Rashi says, take a wife for him from amongst the daughters of Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre. Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre were, even though they were themselves Amorites, they were descendants of Canaan, and Abram had Eliezer swear not to take a wife for them, for Isaac from them. He said, if you can't find a wife from within the family, take it from the best of Canaan, and that's Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre. They're the best ones. Why were they the best? They told Avram to get not only to get a bris, but to do it in public. Avram wasn't sure where he should get it, and they told him that's why Avram got the circumcision in the plains of Mamre. So if you can't get a wife from there, for him, take one from the daughters of Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre. And then he says, my son, you cannot go there. Rashi says, only my son cannot go there. But who can go there?
Daughter.
Well, we don't know about the daughter, but he's saying, my son cannot go there, but my grandson, Jacob, can go there. So then, what happens next? And the servant places his hand underneath the thigh of Abraham, and he swore to him about this matter. Seems a little bit of a intimate oath, but that's what they did. And the servant took 10 camels from the camels of his master, and he went with all the bounty of the master in his hand. And he got up and he went to Aram Naraim, to the city of Nahor. So he took from the why were they called his master's camels? What's so unusual about that? She says, Nikarnayu, they were unusual from all the other camels. Why are Abraham's camels so unusual from all the other camels? Because Shayotzin Zemumin, they would go out muzzled on account of theft. They should not graze in the fields of others. When Abraham's camels went out, they were muzzled so that they wouldn't graze in other people's fields. And he also took with him all the bounty of his master. What does it mean? Kol tuva adonav v'yado. What does that mean? Rashi says, Shtar matana katav Yitzchak. Abraham wrote a document making a gift to Isaac, Al kol asher lo, that he says, I'm going to give you everything that belongs to me. Kedei sheyikpetzu l'shlo acho bitam. So people will be eager to marry their daughter to him. So then, the verse tells us, verse 11, Vayavrech hagmalim michutz la'ir, and he watered the camels. He made the Vayavrech means he made the camels kneel outside the city towards the well of water, towards the evening, towards the time they come to dry out. The word Vayavrech means to kneel. You know what word that relates to?
Baruch.
Yeah, like very good, Moshe. Like,
Bless.
yeah, to bless, right? Jerry and Moshe. So basically, Jerry is sharp, and so is Moshe. And so we say bracha is we're basically, they used to, I guess, kneel when they would say a bracha, when they say a blessing, or you kneel before a person.
Well, that's very interesting. The Catholics in church, they kneel.
I mean, I've never seen a service, but I'll take your word for it because it rings true. but I don't think it's just them.
and to make the bracha.
And when they take the mass, when they take the Eucharist or whatever, they
Some part of their service there's a kneeling, I think, portion.
It took a lot of things from us.
no, I
All
don't think.
religions kneel, the Muslims.
Yeah, a lot of people kneel. Well, we kneel when we bow down on Yom Kippur. We go on our knees and we kneel.
That's once a year.
Yeah, what are you saying, Shepsel?
But I thought people don't kneel to other people.
Well, we're not. Well, first of all, even that, even that
I mean,
Is-
you're recounting of, of people bowing to Shlomo and David and to.
right. So there was kneeling, and there was a lot of criticism of the rabbis and the Gemara say, well, why didn't you just bow down to Haman? Like, why didn't you bow down? Well, it's only idolatry if you, when you bow down, you think that they're God. But if you bow down saying that they're your sovereign, that's not idolatry.
I mean, I can understand that.
I think a few years ago, everybody was upset when, not everybody, but I saw a lot of people got upset when one of the presidents went to Saudi Arabia and he bowed before the king. People got all upset, but it's like a curtsy or, bow. It's not a sin in any way to it.
Social convention.
Like this is just, yes,
Yeah,
it's
it's social convention. It's like a not Jewish person or like somebody going to the kotel and wearing kippah.
exactly, or it's a salute. Yeah, it's I mean, personally speaking, I don't require anybody to bow down to me, but no, okay. So, yeah. So, okay. So he had the camels kneel. He made them lie down. Now,
Isn't
yes.
something about who wasn't instead of river and instead of
Yes. That
going down to the river to drink, he kept it in his hand and brought it up to his mouth instead of just.
That was in the book of Judges. Gideon was deciding which men to take. He had a test who went down to the water and drank like a dog, lapping it up versus taking it up in their mouth with their hands. So I think that some of the commentaries say, oh, so very good, very good. And no, because Eliezer has got a plan here. He's going to use that as a whip to protect the ark. Thank you, Eliezer. So I don't think that that's in the text. That I don't think some of the commentaries say that the problem was that it was an indication that they had been worshiping idolatry by bowing down. But I think that might have been an anachronistic explanation. Thank you, Elliot. All right, we'll do one more. Jerry, you had a question? Jerry? Oh, he left. Okay. Okay. So we'll do one more verse, then we'll done. Okay, so what does the verse say? Says the verse, verse 14. So he said, the next verse, verse 12. Vayomar. Oh, so the interesting thing about this verse, obviously, is this word is one of the four shalshelets that appear in the Torah. The four shalshelets. Three of them are in Bereshit in the book of Genesis, and one is in Leviticus and Parsha Shmini. And 4 times all indicate like a very, very dramatic moment. Excuse me, extremely dramatic moment. And so this was an extremely dramatic moment because he was looking, thank you. He was looking to see who would he be successful in his mission of finding a wife for Isaac. Yes, Jerry.
Loading up 10 camels with goods to entice the young lady in Paramaram is not it's not a quality that you want a gold digger as a wife.
You know what? Fair, but you also, the real world, the wife's gonna marry somebody who's gonna be able to take care of her and provide. And it's not just a wife who's getting, the wife's not getting the money. The money's going to her father or her brother. She's not getting anything. She's going to the guy. She would prefer that he doesn't give such a big gift, because then she'd have more money in her family. All right, let us dive in now. All right, we'll start with the Tehillim.